Welcome, beautiful people. Season 2 of the Brian Moreno Show. Let's do it. Yeah, I gotta get... If you're watching this on YouTube, Jay, you know I still gotta get that opening smooth. But if you're listening to me on like Sirius or Breaker or something, because now I'm on all podcast formats, you're like, this guy's got it going on. On YouTube, you're like, what the hell's he doing? Jay Chase, welcome to Studio 51, ladies and gentlemen. This is such a special episode for me. Third episode of the Brian Moreno Show. The very conceptual stage of the Brian Moreno Show. This guest was not only one of our first, but he is one of our finest. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. The one and only manager of the Improv, Jay Chase, the Hollywood Improv. 25 years? How many years?
28.
28 years. God, I'm aging you. I apologize.
Yeah, okay.
Man, you would have looked younger if it was 25.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my God. Thank you for coming back, Jay. I have to say, I mean this from the bottom of my heart to anyone listening who was with me from the beginning. Because trust me, with that early episodes, I was blasting my email, and I had so many people who were supportive of me. And then they realized I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm earning them back once again. But I have to say, it's been, what, a year, I guess?
At least, probably,
yeah, a year since you've been here, and, man, shit's changed.
Wow, right?
Well, the thing is, last time you were here, were you on furlough, or what?
Yeah, they furloughed me, basically there was no inside shows or whatever. They didn't even have outside, they shut everything down. So they furloughed me for 5.5 months, and then I was supposed to be furloughed till the end of November of last year. But then they opened up outside dining, so they brought me back, and then they closed down a month later.
Yeah, there was a little window where you were there.
And then I stayed, but I stayed on. They were doing, some food concepts out of the kitchen for pickup and delivery, and so they just kept me on. Ricardo, my GM, poor guy, man, he was working, 3 weeks straight without a day off, So
I'm amazed that some of the businesses, the way you guys have had to adapt. Now, for those of you who are new to the show or just listening, Jay is longtime manager of the legendary Hollywood Improv. I have to say, it is one of the premier comedy clubs in the world. And I know when I say this, it's it is a little biased, but I think it is one of the finest comedy clubs that is left. Like from the old school, like the old regime of.
Yeah, I remember it was a big deal. I can't remember how many years ago. Might even be too late for this now. But anyways, it was voted the #1 comedy club in the world.
Really?
Like 3 years ago, yeah. I don't know if they do that every year, and things have changed maybe, but. So,
no,
yeah,
I can't wait to feel that energy again, because right now, you guys have now you explain to me what is going on right now, because it's just been reopened, but I haven't been able to hang out at the bar, because one thing that makes the Improv so great is how much of a community the comedians were there, because a lot of the other comedy clubs, you're really sectioned off, and the audience members after a show would literally walk by the bar, and you would usually see your favorite comedian, and there was kind of a camaraderie there about, oh, I just saw you on stage, and just the wood grain of the place, and Eddie the bartender who's been there forever. It was a joyous event every time a show got out.
Oh, yeah.
It really was.
It was so great. You could go see the comics that you just saw, and they might see them at the bar, and you go say hello with them, buy them a drink.
But that energy, I miss it.
Yeah.
And we would pack it in like sardines.
Yeah.
And I miss that. And how is it now? Because you've done at least, what, 4 shows?
No, we've done 2 shows in the main room. We just started this last Friday and Saturday. It was electric.
Oh, I bet.
Only like half the room. I mean, we had I think we sold just a little over 90 tickets. The room holds a little over 200 people.
Yeah.
And man, the energy was insane. I mean, all the comics said, man, the crowd is just electric. It was so much fun, and it was great. You know, it just was so great to have laughter back in that building. You know, and you know, I got a little choked up. Some people were actually crying in line. They were so happy to get out and see live comedy. It was awesome. I mean, I was like, don't stop. You're going to get me crying.
Oh,
now.
my God.
Yeah,
really?
Cool. It was really cool. So, you know, like I said, it was just 2 electric nights. We had Gary Cannon host, you know, and he's just a spitfire, man, from the get-go.
Sure.
I love Gary. He actually helped me with my patio thing that we were doing, which we're still doing. You know, it's like went from, you know, 2 nights a week to 3 nights a week. But now that we're doing inside shows, they've cut that back. So we're going to start doing Tuesday nights.
So, and are you cutting that back inside because the capacity and that outside would count as capacity?
No. It's just too much. You know, right now we're just bringing staff back little by little. So, you know, we got to actually reach out to the staff that was furloughed first to see who we have coming back. And then after that, you know, then we can maybe start bringing in more people and, you know, opening up more nights. Right now we're just doing, well, this next week we're going to Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the main room.
Oh, really?
Doing 2 shows Friday and 2 shows Saturday. So they just thought, you know, me trying to do the patio thing on top of that, which is, I wish you would have came down. You would.
Well, I drove by and saw you were actually at Brea when I went. You were not there. I was impressed. It was something that for those of you who don't know, there's a giant patio at the Hollywood Improv that's kind of doubles as a parking lot because of legal reasons. Like, there has to be a car parked there.
No, well, because it's zoned for a parking lot. You know, but they're trying to get the permits. Right now we have temporary permits because of COVID.
I hope that stuff stays.
Well, we're jumping through all the hoops right now. We had our first meeting, you know, with to try to get the neighborhood if they have any concerns or questions, and it was a Zoom meeting, and nobody called in. So I sat there for like a half an hour waiting for somebody, and they said, "Well, it looks like this meeting's adjourned." I said, "Okay, well, that's good. That means no one's complaining or, you know, had anything to bitch about."
That's
yeah. So that's one for us right now.
Well, that neighborhood used to be a little stuffier.
Yeah.
But I think COVID has loosened people up to the idea of eating outside in Los Angeles.
I think it's great. I mean, I don't know why we don't do it year-round anyways out here, really. You know?
Well, there was a lot of rules to, in essence, make L.A. not Mardi Gras. That's really that was a big concern.
Wow.
And I would hear that like as a youth all the time. I've never been to Mardi Gras. And I really know this because laws, like, people would go to these meetings, these city council meetings, like, this is not New Orleans, this is not, you know, West Palm Beach or Boca, wherever people drive, Daytona, you know?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And because all those places, basically, you could eat outside, you know, till certain distance, you can put tables. And they never wanted that in L.A. But now that they're shutting off Robertson Boulevard, I know this is very L.A. specific for those of you who don't know, but this is a big thing in this city for businesses, not only to stay alive, but to actually turn a profit, which is the goal of a business, not just to stay alive.
Yeah.
You know, to turn a profit, you need that extra space.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are trying to get those same permits. You know, they've turned their, you know, like some of these places, they turn their parking lot. They got the AstroTurf out. They got the
because the Improv in essence could be 3 rooms going at once.
Yeah,
doing the outside, the little side room, and then the main, and that would be great.
Well, I just saw the virtual plans for the patio that they've got, and it's sexy. I don't even know how else to say it. They've got, like, they're going to tear down that iron gate and put, like, a real big brick wall with the Improv logo, and the gates are going to be like the gates of Camelot, man. It's just going to be insane.
Okay, but between, you know, in my personal opinion, I've seen pretty plans for that outside a couple times in my just comedy career, right? So I can imagine.
Yeah, but they insist they're moving forward with it finally.
God, I hope so. Yeah. Now, this is one of our sponsors, Amon Tequila. I give you all of my honesty. Because sometimes, you know, like, there is a little hyperbole when I speak. There is nothing but honesty here, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the finest, most wonderful tequilas I've ever had. I'm thrilled that they are a sponsor. If you would like to try, yes, absolutely. I'm going to give you the black here, the Reposado. Or no, that's the Blanco here.
Okay.
The Repo's the best here. Oh, this. I'm telling you, Jay. No. This will.
I like the bottles, man.
Yeah, we had a smoker guy in here, Bart's Barbecue. We had one of my smoker friends. He's one of the best smokers in L.A. He actually, when he drank this, he's like, I normally hate tequila. I find this to be the finest. He searched it out, went to Costco, got some bottles.
Cheers,
to the Hollywood Improv,
Yeah,
to Oliver Glory, past and present.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers. Amon tequila.
Yeah, that's smooth. That's nice.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's if you have a fine product and you want to get it featured on the Brian Moreno Show, sending me free products is a good way to go about it. I have to tell you, there's
that never sucks, right?
no, man. So now tell me your thoughts about the world right now, because I'm really curious, because I consider you a genuine man of the people, Jay. Like, where people's, where the pulse is at, but you're also a very genuine guy. So you try to be understanding and whatnot. Now, I'm afraid, because they've printed so much money, like the prices are going up and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm afraid that it's gonna really kill a lot of comedy, because a lot of these up and coming comedians, like, we're middle class.
Oh yeah.
And the prices rising and everything is gonna kill some of the middle class.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna force a lot of people to not do comedy, or to quit comedy, or to find different walks of life. And it's going to leave comedy, I think, with a lot of these people who, a lot of the same old stuff. Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to talk down upon any of these, the more senior comedians.
Yeah.
But these more senior comedians, they can afford to only get $25 a show, or 20, and it's not, that's not really the rate even, but.
Well, here's the thing. We've been doing these outside patio. I
Yeah.
can't call them shows, but
Yeah.
they're kind of glorified open mics. But it kept growing from the beginning. We were just doing a microphone and just a PA up, basically, pretty simple, And man, the comics were coming down in hordes. So, and a lot of younger ones, and it was good for me, because I don't know a lot of these younger guys, or these kind of inexperienced younger guys. And there's some funny ones out there. There's some
my God, really funny.
So. Every week we've done it. Every night we've done it. We started out only being able to have 30 people out there. We'd have people outside on the sidewalk, And I'm sorry, I'm at capacity. I'll try and get you guys in, just because of the laws. But then they opened things up, and then we finally got up to like 80, 85 people.
You did.
And then one of the guys that works for me, I couldn't do this because I was on the payroll for the Improv. So just some guy randomly that work, who's furloughed right now, kind of comes in. He's a comic. He went on Eventbrite and put a free thing up there, and so we started getting real audience members. So we were telling some of these younger guys, hey, bring your best stuff, because you're doing a show.
Yeah.
We had some big drop-ins. I mean, we had.
I saw Orny got up there.
Yeah, Orny did it. I had Donnell Rollins, Ian Bagg, Jeff Dye. He's about to hit on all 10 cylinders right now.
Yeah.
These guys are popping in. And then we had some legends. I had Rick Overton come in, and he gave me this big hug. He goes, you're single-handedly bringing comedy back, kid,
I miss seeing and hanging out with some of these people, because those who have ever considered starting or being a part of comedy, I have to tell you, the scene at the Hollywood Improv, the way I was able to develop relationships with some comedians, I would have never been able to do otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, not even close.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the reason why my view of comedy right now is a little skewed. Like, not only do I miss it, I worry about the changes that are going to occur. Yeah. I just worry, because I don't know where things are going to be. I mean, look how fast things changed this year. I have no idea where things are going to be around Christmas.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with some friends the other day where because everything has to be so politically correct now. Like, I was watching some of the old evenings at the Improv, 20 years
well,
ago,
that's
25 years
that's
ago.
a different story.
And what they were saying then would never fly today.
Well, you would literally you would literally have to yank the person off stage and be like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's just, it was just insane, like, what they could get away with back then that, man, you would definitely be blacklisted,
Yeah, totally.
So, but you know what? It's, it's one of those businesses where it's kind of forgiving, you give it time. Comedy's subject, so.
It's very subjective. Well, it's all subjective. And, some people worry about political correctness. I've never worried about that. Just because it's like, for as unpolitically correct, I suppose I am sometimes, there's like logic to what I try to. So I worry a lot about, and maybe to one of my faults, I didn't play the game probably as well as I should have when comedy was really booming. When executives were telling, who to put on stage, who was going to be, whether they were the next person or not, whether they were funny or not, didn't matter. Executives made the decisions, and I didn't play the game as well as I should have.
Show though, I mean, you put some great shows together.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, not only
lineups and so.
Well, not only did I think I was a little ahead of my time too, because before I was ready, I was on stage with some heavy hitters before I was ready, and I would bomb. I mean, I would do well, but there would be bombs, and big guys would see me and they would see that I wasn't ready. Yeah. And and that's to my detriment, being and not that I'm popular. I had a big email list, and for those who don't know, I used to be the MC of the House of Blues before, till its final day. I was bringing bands on stage. I was doing my own Brian Moreno show in a room where I had no hook. Like, I could literally do the 2 hours. I mean, when I had 5 minutes, and nobody is going to give me the hook. So I learned how to speak for a long time and keep it going, but I didn't necessarily learn how to make jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when you get on the improv stage, you learn real quickly.
Oh yeah, you got to
if you're funny or not. Yeah. And so I learned trial by fire, but I have to say I don't know, because now that Comedy Central is pretty much dead, and Netflix decides who's going to be funny, who's the next, I don't know what it's going to be like for the next few classes coming up. Because with me in my class, I came up with a lot of people where we believed, if we work really hard, we were going to come up. And I have to say, one guy who I as much as him and I don't really speak anymore, but Craig Conan, he worked really hard. He got in with the right people. He played the game. Yeah. And now he's booking regularly. As much as I love comedy, I don't know if after opening on the road with Orny Adams for about a year and saw what it entails, and the grind. Oh yeah. And the loneliness. Yeah. They seriously waking up and not knowing what city you're in. Yeah. That's when it first set into me that I have to kind of diversify myself and my ability, because I don't know if being a road comic is the life.
You have to reinvent yourself every day.
Well, sure. Well, pandemic really pushed me. Oh, okay. And I'm really fortunate that I got my movie shot before pandemic. But pandemic forced me to build this room. It forced me to.
By the way, this room looks great from the last time I was here. But yeah, you got it.
Thank you. No, Studio 51. Yeah. And I have to say, guys like you have been not only like a powerful force, but guys like you are very, hey, that's the doggy. That's the doggy. Guys like you have been really supportive, and that, like, I can't say thank you enough. And I have to say that as much as I do get better every time, I look back at these old episodes that we did. And yours one that I'm gonna bring you back every season, and we're gonna catch up. No, seriously, because you're one of these people in the comedy world. Hey, that
I got a new buddy.
Yeah, that you're one of these people that really, man, you affect a lot of people, Jay. a lot more than I think you realize. And even just that story about doing stuff out on the patio.
Yeah.
Oh man, like you know how many people are better because of you?
Well, it's really great because, you know, like I said, it just started off with kind of a glorified open mic.
I think you could.
And but what was great about it is it just kept growing. And, you know, like I said, I got to see some younger talent that I would never probably have met. You know, Rita usually does the open mic, you know, and they do like a potluck thing. And I said, I don't want to get into that. I want to get as many of these guys up in 3 hours that we can. And we wouldn't get them up, but we'd say, okay, well, I'm sorry you sat here for 3 hours, bought food and drinks, and hung out. Thank you. Well, guess what? The next time you come in, I'm going to try and get you up. And that was kind of our concept, you know. And
see, that's so cool.
But then the problem is then some of the bigger names would come down, and you got to
bump,
and I'd have to bump them. But that's the business.
Oh yeah, I'm used to getting bumped. Yeah, you don't have to explain it to me.
You know, Dane Cook would probably bump, you know, Tom Rhodes, but
sure,
you know, Chris Rock would bump Dane Cook.
Sure,
you know
and they would all bump me if anyone's. You know. And for those listening, Rita, the person that he's talking about, she was the general manager of the Improv, but she was one of the early driving forces behind that building.
Oh yeah.
Her energy and her fingerprint is going to be on that building till it is standing.
She's, you know, the great thing about Rita is this, and we have lots of conversations. She said, you know, we have to protect that building because all the magic that's happened in there, we can't just let that dissipate, and we can't forget, you know, what it's done for a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I never even thought for 1 second I had a career in comedy. You know, I just thought I was just, you know, bartender, waiter, and then moved up to management and whatever. And then my sister goes, well, I think, you know, after 20 years, you have a career in comedy, wouldn't you? And I'm like, I got to thank Bud Friedman for that. He gave me a career in comedy, and I don't even step on stage, you know, to tell one joke. You know,
there's a lot less bombing involved in your part of the career. Like I have to say, as many times as I have reconsidered my life, the comedy thing wouldn't be the same without the people that I've met, like the kind of the locker room camaraderie. You know, there's a sports kind of camaraderie, I suppose, to it.
Yeah,
like to the field, and I can't imagine it without that.
Yeah, this is definitely a small community.
And that's why I wonder how it's gonna be now that Adam's gone from the Comedy Store.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't. You know, I don't get out to many comedy clubs.
But have you been to the Comedy Store?
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So, but you know, I mean, I just had my hands full at the
sure,
Improv,
but
you know, and then,
but you do know these other comedy clubs. They are very different than the Improv.
Oh yeah,
like they are very different.
Yeah.
I was, as much as I hung out at the Comedy Store, I was never really part of that. I always called the Comedy Store like the Cobra Kai. Like that makes sense. That makes sense. Like, yeah, if you're in, they love you. If they're not, they're like, who the f is this? Get the fuck out of here.
Well, you know what? I will say this: before the pandemic, you know, the Comedy Store was sitting on all 10 cylinders.
It was,
and you know, but I mean,
and not 10 cylinders. It's fired on 20.
20, yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't because when I started comedy, I mean, they could barely put 5, 10 people in there for for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Like, it was slim picking some nights.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I hate to say it, I've been spoiled, I guess, you know, but everything comes full circle. And you know what?
Sure.
God bless them with their success. I don't know what's going to happen now, you know.
Well, that's the thing. Reopening, I just wonder, because you guys in your location, I personally think could be there for forever.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I don't know if the Comedy Store in that location can be there forever.
Well, I've heard rumors.
Because that property is worth a lot of money to tear it down and build it up.
This is what I heard, and this is just...
Sure, I've heard tons. Yeah, I get it.
Basically, Pauly Shore is out. He sold out to his brother. His brother's more of a business guy. They're going to level the Comedy Store and build a you know, a huge hotel there. They probably have like a Comedy Store theater in the bottom of it. But, you know, but who knows what's going to happen? You know, I mean, it's that property is worth $20 million.
That's been the rumor that I've also heard, and as wonderful as like I say, the Comedy Store's been to a lot of people. I just wonder about the real estate valuation and how they can stay alive.
Yeah.
Like just because that's a lot of money that building, that specific plot. And for those who don't know, it's right on Sunset Boulevard in a place that, God, back in the 80s was grimy, in the 70s and 60s, but not anymore.
Yeah. No, it's prime real estate.
Yeah, that is prime, ultra prime time. Yeah. Like those condos, I can't imagine what they're getting per square foot. Yeah. I tell you how the prices are.
Yeah.
Like just going crazy.
I'm also wondering about the Comedy Store because, you know, Joe Rogan single-handedly is responsible for their success.
I would say Joe and Louis C.K.
Louis C.K., yeah.
Yeah, because he did those shows to warm up for some specials.
Yeah. And now that he's in Austin, and he took a lot of comics with him, which some of the comics I've talked to are very happy about that. They said, hey, more needs to follow him.
Yeah, totally.
But, you know, like I said, you know, Joe's always been really great with me and always, you know, very honest and just, you know, but just always just really treated me, you know, like a real person, you know, and I love him for that. So.
Oh yeah, Joe used to do my shows. Yeah. Now he got big and he doesn't. He don't need my shows. I don't even know if that email address works anymore.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but Joe used to always respond to my emails. Yeah. No, I don't think anymore. Yeah,
well, you might be on a different level now.
Well, sure, $300 million or whatever. Yeah. Woo, that changes a lot of emails that you respond to.
But you know what? You're on the same track. You could. You know what? And you know enough people. I believe in you, dude. You're doing a great job here, man. With getting the right people in and talking to them and. You know, so it's pretty awesome.
Well, and I just want you to be clear. Like everything that I'm saying, I owe a lot of credit to you and Rita, and even Peter was supportive. All the booking people, Paige, Jamie, Jamie Flam was one of those guys that like he saw my quirkiness and he understood it and. You know,
really good with his what is that called? Something typewriter theater.
The Dynasty typewriter.
Dynasty typewriter. Yeah, and he, I don't know how we got in there or whatever, but I
actually saw him 2 weeks ago driving. He met Hazel, and I was driving, and he was crossing the street.
That's hilarious,
Yeah.
But he, he's just one of those really genuine, really good guys, and and he's. Very easy and approachable, but that's a tough gig because all the comics all of a sudden become your best friend once you start booking clubs.
Well, it's a tough gig if you fall to some of the traps that get laid for you, because in any walk in entertainment, any walk of life in the entertainment business, a lot of it is about avoiding landmines.
Yes,
and bookers I've seen. Not to name any specific clubs, but clubs that I've had in my, 10-year comedy career, they've had 19 bookers. Yeah. And that's because they fall into landmines or they don't realize all of the juggling they have to do as a booker, because you have to juggle personalities.
Oh.
You got to juggle not just personalities, you got to juggle your goals and objectives.
Yeah.
Because you understand, just as the business manager, you want the night to run smoothly.
Yeah.
The booker wants the night to run smoothly, plus they want to put on the best show and they want to show that they actually got the talent and they want the talent to be happy with them, and sometimes all these things don't fall in line.
Well, a lot of things is you're basically responsible for selling tickets.
Yeah.
When you book in the club, because you want to put the right lineup. It's going to sell the
but
most
you
tickets,
but you're also, that's the thing, there's a business aspect to comedy that a lot of people I don't think understand.
Yeah.
Because there's maybe 10 to 15, would you just put her, there's maybe 10 to 15 comedians that really put heads in the seats.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. And
And after that, there are people who have had 2 or 3 Comedy Central specials who nobody will go see under any circumstance.
Wow.
Like nobody,
Yeah.
Like you have these people who are names, I guess, but nobody's gonna go see them.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's this weird hierarchy where you have to have the credits, but you also have to have the fans. But if you have fans, like I did, people that would just come out. I know whatever show Brian's on is gonna be great. But if you don't have the credits, they look at you as like a promoter or something. And that's like the business aspect, making the comedy dirty.
As the comic, you don't want to be considered just a promoter. You know?
No, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that was the rub and the thing that I kind of fell into, because I could always get 50 to 250 people.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter who was on the lineup. And I realized that real quickly. Yeah, Joe Rogan would help sell tickets. David Spade would charge $500 because, of course, he'd sell tickets, you know?
Yeah.
But if it weren't those guys, if it weren't, a handful of other people, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like Dane Cook would put heads in the seats.
Yeah.
I'll give him, no matter how much a comedian might talk shit about Dane, that guy sold out Madison Square Garden multiple times.
Well, he did something that, that no comic has ever done. He, and I might have said this in the last podcast I did with you, but what he did was very clever. A lot of the comics were doing their spots at whatever club, and then they would be out selling merchandise and CDs from the trunk of their car. So Dane just said, you know what, I'm just going to stay home and go. And this was like when MySpace was big, I guess. And he was just getting on there and just getting in these chat rooms and promoting himself. And he literally sold, millions of CDs just on the internet, just getting in these chat rooms and just building. And that's how he became really big. So he did something that probably will never happen again in my lifetime. That was pretty.
And you
amazing.
saw it all happening, huh?
Yeah, I've known Dane for 25 years. They used to do that show up at Dublin's, and I'll never forget him and Jay Davis going, hey, can you throw some comics? And I was thinking, well, maybe I get and Jeff Ross was just kind of, he was getting booked at our club, but he was nowhere near as famous.
Sure, yeah.
But Jeff was always so great with me and said, well, maybe I can talk to Jeff Ross and a few people like that. But those guys did, I guess Tommy Davidson came in, and ever since then, they were the #1 comedy show in all of L.A. on Tuesday nights.
I remember.
And the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, and the Improv could not compete with them.
I remember that's where like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake would go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got in.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. I can assure you. That was
loved to have checked it out just because, I've known those guys for so long. But, back then I was working bartending and.
Well, yeah, back then you were just trying to hustle to get your little slice, And
you see enough comedy where I'm at. It's like, well, I'm not going to, at that time I didn't have a career in comedy. I didn't think. I was just like, I'm just here to make some money and enjoy and get to meet some of these guys, and some of them become really good buddies and all that. But I never made it up there. But I remember our Tuesdays were just dead. And everyone all the time said, oh, yeah, the Dublin's upstairs room is smoking hot right now. And it's like the hottest show. And even the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory were dying.
And for those who have no idea what Dublin's is, Jay-Z even sung about it in a song with Jermaine Dupri, Rublin to Dublin's, the Money Ain't a Thing song. And that corner, it was Dublin's, Miyagi's, and there was another place right by and the Body Shop.
Body Shop, but then they also had the hotel, Chateau, what is it?
Well, the Chateau Marmont right by there. Yeah. The Sunset Plaza Hotel. And it was a crazy corner.
Yeah.
And it got so crazy, they rezoned the business so that no bar could ever be at that place ever again. Yeah, they took the license away and rezoned it.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there was it would get so crazy on Sunset Boulevard. And at the time, there was a lot of lowriders and 64 Chevys and stuff like that. And all these, cholos would come from everywhere, and they would just jump their stuff up and down Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
And a cop used to stand at that corner, and they put up a sign that said no cruising. There was a no cruising law in L.A. where you could only do 2 laps on Sunset Boulevard, like down and back, or a cop would write you a ticket.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
That's how crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, this was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Sunset Boulevard was a very different place. Like, a lot of stuff really happened.
Yeah.
Now it's condos.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
It's very different.
Very expensive, yeah.
It's very expensive, yeah, and very expensive.
Yeah.
People used to have awesome places that would overlook Sunset Boulevard. And and these were like rockers.
Oh,
you know, people like not making any money.
Yeah, you know.
It would be awesome. Yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah, I remember, you know, but, you know, I mean, I guess there's places on Sunset that still, you know, is happening. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
You know.
Yeah, I don't go to them.
I can't. I'm too old. You know?
Yeah. Like, my back doesn't hold up anymore.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm at that age where all the girls are like, ew.
Oh man, I knew I was out of the game when my back started going out during sex.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, and some young girls like, it looks fine. What do you mean it looks? I can't move. Yeah, it looks. What do you mean? Yeah, and that's the thing. No young person is gonna understand back problems.
No.
No. That's one thing I've realized. That the minute your back starts going out, like, you're not young anymore.
Sad but true, man.
Totally sad. Oh man. So when we just hit a new tier in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Do you get updated daily about like?
There's a thing that you can check. I don't know if it's online, probably online, where you can just see what level we're at and what capacity we can go to and all that. And you know, I just let the home office. You know, they just tell us what they want and what we.
And you just do it,
and we just make it happen.
So when do you think that they're going to do weekly shows?
You know, they're moving fast right now. You know, we just did a kind of a cold open Friday and Saturday. Both nights were electric and amazing. They're adding Thursday night next week. So we're going to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And they're talking about doing 2 shows on Friday and 2 shows on Saturday.
And are you just selling tickets online?
Online, yeah.
Hollywood improv, or is it?
Probably improv.com.
Improv.com/Hollywood.
But they're fully vaccinated shows. So you can't. You're not allowed to enter if you haven't been vaccinated.
Yeah. And you have to show. You have to show
card and ID to prove that that's you. And
see, that's wonderful.
Sad thing is, I've had to turn a few people down. Well, you didn't see it, and it's like, well, it's there.
Oh,
you know.
And then have people been okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like I said. It's everyone's
like
ready.
have you gotten pushback from people? Is what I'm asking.
No. Not at all. I mean, people have just been very excited. You know, I mean, like I said, we're doing a little patio thing. We'd have people in the neighborhood that would just hear us. We go, we just heard people laughing. We wanted to come check it out. Can we come
that's
in?
great.
I'm like, absolutely, come in. You know?
Now there's a Greenberg guy or something that lives right up the street. He's a great. He would come to all my shows.
Oh yeah.
What's his name? Greenberg or he's always there. He's a neighborhood guy.
I don't know if it's Frank. There's a guy named Frank.
Yeah, something. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah,
really nice.
Great, man. He's he's very supportive and he was very excited. He's one that like when we were doing our little ghost kitchen concepts, he'd come down and walk his dog and order some food. And became buddies of him. And, now he's just like, he comes down whenever. He was there Friday night. He goes, I had to support, just.
I love that.
It was cool. But you can tell people are ready. I don't think it's going to reach.
Well, there's a lot of pent up demand.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of pent up demand.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really excited to see it going.
Yeah.
I'm just so afraid that the things are gonna shut. We've had the rug pulled out from underneath us so many times.
Yeah.
I feel like I have this like fool me once, fool me twice thing.
Yeah.
Like, when's it gonna happen again? When are you gonna,
Yeah.
when are you gonna the Charlie Brown thing? I feel like when she would take the football, I feel like I'm keep trying to kick the football.
That's hilarious. Yeah. In my heart of hearts, I just think that the worst is behind us. I think we're gonna be moving forward. I think we have to. I think we're gonna have people talk about a revolution or whatever, But I just think that at this point, people they're done with it.
Well, the vaccines too got to help. I just I want to see people get back to employment. Yes. I don't think people understand how important that is to keep the economy going.
Yeah.
Like free money's great for the people who got it. I didn't.
Yeah.
But for the people who got the free money, and it's great, but it's really bad.
Yeah, but that's gonna run short here soon too.
It's got to.
Because once things open up and these businesses, they're calling back their employees, and employees like, well, no, I'm making more money on unemployment than I did working for you. It's like, okay, well, your unemployment's going to end because we offered you your job back. You know? So if you, that's fine, you do what you want, but you know, we are going to state that we try to bring you back and you chose not to. So, so they're not going to be
So that's how it works.
Yeah. It's,
and now, have you had any problems, employees? Like you're still fully staffed? Are you looking?
We're bringing them back little by little. You know, the great thing is, like I said, when we were doing our little patio thing, we had to bring back a couple servers and a bartender, and you know, Antonio. Beloved Antonio has been there, you know, 40 years.
I love him.
He's in the contract. He can never be fired. But he's,
really?
Yeah. But you would never want to fire Antonio.
No, he's the sweetest, nicest man you've... I love Antonio.
And the hardest worker. He outworked some of these little 22-year-olds that I had.
Yeah, he's 65, 70. Yeah.
70,
yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I remember he had a birthday. Sometimes I remember.
He just has such a... spirit about him. You just want to hug him, you know, kind of. And but he's been there for 40 years, and there's a reason why he's in the contract. People, I mean, comics will come in just to see him. Like Seinfeld will come in and go, "Hey, how are you? Good. Where's Antonio? Tell him to come say hello to me." Okay, so I go find Antonio. You know, you know, that's how beloved he is. You know, Jalen, all those guys want to see Antonio. You know?
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's really great. You know, but you know, we brought him back, and you know, so we're bringing our staff back is, you know, basically on seniority pretty much. It's like, we have to go through our list, say, hey, you know, we're gonna bring back an extra bartender. You're next in line. You want to come back? And so far, everyone's anxious to get back, which is exciting. You know, people really are, you know, ready to get back, and at least for our club. I can't speak for any other businesses, but so it's exciting. So I think we're gonna have a lot of people that return. You know, I've had a few people that, you know, aren't coming back because they moved out of state. So, but other than that,
did you have many people move or no?
I know of like 2 right off the top of my head, but
so not many.
So not many, but you know, like I said, they're all excited to get back to it, and you know, so it's exciting. I think people, they've had a year off, they're ready to get back to work.
Well,
you know,
I mean, it's about a year and a half. Like it was March, because I got Corona. It was March 14th.
Oh, you got it. I think I got it before the pandemic, because I had like all the symptoms I read.
Yeah,
it matched that to a T. You know, but I guess I was lucky. You know, it kind of took me out for like 4 days, and then by the 5th day, I was fine up and moving again. So.
Well, that's the thing. They're not going to know how it really. It takes years to study the genetic differences in people and how it affects you, and it takes a long time and a lot of studying and work. So just to be this far, I think is great.
Yeah, it's great. You know?
I think all the people who moved to Austin, like, good for them. But you know, it's still Texas. Like, it's not for me. I mean, maybe if I had a ranch and, you know, and I was done with life, like, I mean, it's not that I'm a California guy. Yeah. Like, and I know that. And some people will frown upon that just as I have for the people who've moved. But
I think they'll all come back.
I don't think they're good.
They
know
has all that money, so they're, you know, so he's like the Pied Piper. They're all going to follow him out there. But I think they're going to realize, well, Joe Rogan probably still has a house here in L.A. and probably has his ranch in Austin and probably a penthouse in New York. I mean, so so for him to do that is great. But some of these comics, you know, that are following him, and I'm not saying that they don't make money. You know, they probably do very well for themselves. But I think that everything comes full circle, and they'll be back in L.A. I think they'll realize that, like, you know.
I think it's going to get real hot this summer, and I don't think a lot of them realize that it's going to get real hot this summer. Yeah. Like Texas hot.
Have you ever been to Austin? I've never been to Austin, so I don't know.
I've driven through. I got barbecue there one time because I've driven across country about 5 or 6 times.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I've driven the south route twice. So I did go through Austin and Amarillo and a few other places, but my knowledge of Austin is 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much.
But I know my knowledge of heat is extensive, and I know exactly how hot it is there.
That's funny.
I have to give a lot of credit to you for always being so positive through this. Did you ever, like, start to question things and wonder?
Well, I mean, you know that job, you know, like you said, it's one of those jobs. It's got the rewards outweigh, you know, the discrepancy.
But you always stayed really positive.
You know, I get excited.
Would you like to try just a sip of the Blanco?
Yeah, I'll try some.
Yes, the Amman tequila. Now I have to say these are good plugs. If Roberto, if you would like.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, here.
I think she's tired.
Good. Amon Tequila, ladies and gentlemen. I highly recommend this. This is a wonderful sponsor. I say sponsor, but if you send me some money, then you're really a sponsor. Hazel, off. And for those of you who don't know, Hazel, the dog, you can find her on Instagram at Hazel Moreno, the alien or the dog alien. She's a sweetie. She's a little rambunctious right now. We did Runyon this morning, and I think she just wants to go out again because we haven't really done much since. Now, back to what I was saying about your positivity. Did the pandemic ever wear on you to the point where you started to question like when it was going to end? Or
no, I mean, I kind of was one of the few people, not the few, I'm sure there's a lot of people, but I actually enjoyed being furloughed for that time. I think it
probably really gave you a chance because you look good. You look fresh.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've seen you working 10 days in a row, like 18-hour days. I've seen.
It's it's one of those things you really have to enjoy that because you got to be all things to all people, and so.
And you're really great at it.
I try to make sure the comics have what they need, but I also got to make sure my staff has what they need, and then of course customer service. You want the customers to have a warm, gushy feeling too. So
yeah.
But that's just part of that business, but it can wear on you a little bit. And when that pandemic hit or when they furloughed me, I was like, what, I'm going to just enjoy. I got to see some family. And
well, see, that's nice.
Pretty awesome, So for me, it was much needed. And
so that kept you positive.
Yeah. And I was able to travel a little bit. I grew up in Colorado, so I did a lot of my social distancing in the mountains, camping and fishing and hiking.
See.
It was awesome for me, But that's how I grew up, And then one of my best friends lives in New Mexico, and I went out there and did the same thing, hiking and fishing and camping. And I guess out there in Silver City, they have some Indian cliffs out there. We hiked up to the Indian cliffs, and that's stuff I've always.
Beautiful.
So it was cool, man. I was like, what, this is the closest I'm going to be to retirement ever.
See that, that's something that I really. You're so well at balancing some things, Jay. And I give you a lot of credit, man. You, for a guy who's been in such a dirty business like comedy, because don't get me wrong, you've seen a lot of shit. For as positive as you are, you've seen a lot of bad people. You've had some horrible nights. Police getting called, drunks, vomit, prostitutes in the bathroom. Yeah. I know, I know. If you haven't heard some of these stories, I think some of them were on the first episode. but you have, maybe it's just a part of you, and that's who you are. But you have managed to stay very positive in a field that is not easy to do it, man. How many people have you seen get spit up and eaten and chewed out and spit up by the Improv?
Yeah, well, it's one of those businesses it's patience, but it's also persistence. You've got to be patient. It really is 10 to 15 years to be an overnight success. Mostly, it's very rare that someone comes right out of the gate and they're clicking on all 20 cylinders. It's great to see. But I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for, like I said, seeing some of these younger comics now.
See, that's wonderful. Not everyone really is, though.
This kid's got something. He might, but also, we have Moses Storm right now is hitting on all 10 cylinders.
Sure.
He wants to do an HBO special, which I hope we can make that happen out of our club.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I always said I would love to do that. Would be what I would wear and what I would do. Oh, and if he would, I would think that would be so cool.
Yeah, and he's just a really hip, cool person. I talked to him.
He's a nice guy. He's always been very nice, to me.
Nice, but he's a smooth criminal, man. He's sharp, When you talk to him, you're like, all right. But I love that. I love it, and I thought I didn't recognize him at first, so. And, of course, he'd come and say hello to me, and I'm like, hey, man, how are you? Good to see you. Go sign in with, our guy so you can get up tonight. And then he gets up, and I could just see he's hands above everyone else, his confidence and just the way he handles things on stage. I said, oh, shit, this guy's a pro, he's good.
Yeah.
So you can see the difference,
Of course. Well, and that's why a lot of these comedians who really didn't know how to handle themselves before. I hope they know how hard they're going to have to grind to get back, man. Yeah. Because, you know, a lot of these comedians, they're like, I'm funny, just put me up. And I, you know, maybe I was one of those.
I've had people come up to me and go, man, I know 900 blonde jokes. When do I get up on your stage? I'm like, all right, dude, stop. You know, you're the funny guy in the office. I get it. But, you know, people don't realize it's work. You got to work it, right? Keep writing. If you're really serious about doing this as a craft, keep writing, man. You know, it's not like the old days where, you know, these comics would do the same bit 10 years later. They got it so spit polished that it's laugh out loud funny. Yeah. But they did it over 10 years where they've got like an hour worth of material, you know? Yeah. But I think Louis C.K. kind of changed the game by writing a brand new set every single year. And just keep it fresh. And what I understand about him is that he could literally do in like 3 nights at the Staples Center, and you could go, if you're a fan of his, all 3 nights and not see the same joke twice or the same set twice. So that's how, you know.
Well, that's something that I always try because I would have so many regulars. Yeah. I realized if I'm doing the same things, because I know that it feels really good to use your A+ stuff. Yeah. But sometimes, like, you got to dig deep, and you got to, like, you got to do it not just because you want to get them to laugh, because, like, you want to challenge yourself. Yeah. You know, like, you want to get better. Yeah. And, like, there was a point in time, like, when I felt like when I was hitting, it didn't matter who I followed. But anyone, I'll go after anyone.
That's great, though.
You know, it is.
That's how you're going to get better.
Well, it is, and that's...
You almost have to get better.
Right now, because I've just been asked to do a lot of these outdoor shows, some of these bar shows, or I did a show inside, first one inside like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, 10 days. My sister got to see me. My sister from Italy got to see me perform comedy for the first time ever. Cool. And I told him, I was like, put me up first, because I want to go when it's ice cold. I want to challenge my, you know, because I hadn't done a big indoor show in a while. And like, put me, like, really? I was like, yeah, I'll just cold open. Just let me do it. Because that's when they're going to, you know, that teaches you when the audience is icy and they're like just still trying to figure you out or even what's going on, that's when you really know. Yeah. And man, just to see the look on my sister's face, and I was doing a lot of my newer stuff that I've been writing since, and for it to hit, it was nice. Yeah. Because the last show I had done before, I said the same thing. I was like, put me up first. I bombed. Oof. Oof, did I ever?
Well, because they come in, they're sitting there, they're waiting for their drinks and their food, and they're anticipating, you know, this is going to be the best night of their life this week. They're so excited about it, and then, you know.
Well, this was like there was too many people in an outdoor area, so people were still like, why am I cramped? And then this comedian gets on stage, and I was trying to do crowd work, and I don't think the mic was working properly, and nobody was hearing me, and so I already started off bad. So I was working my way out of that hole.
That kind of gets in your head too. Like,
oh, well, so especially when you haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
And then I found myself thinking about what I was saying, and then I'm like, oh, they're watching me work this out in my brain. Yeah. And once you lose them, I'm like, okay, well, I'll get them next time. But I was clear it wasn't going to get them this time.
That's it, though. I mean, I've never.
But that's why I love it, though.
Yeah.
It's the challenge. And for all those who have seen my comedy, as much as you've seen me succeed, understand there's 100, maybe 1,000 failures.
Oh, yeah.
To that little bit of success.
Yeah. You got to keep picking yourself back up and keep going. If you know, you can't just have a couple failures and go, okay, I just can't do it.
Do you have a worse bomb that you've ever seen? Like a comedian when you're just like, man,
I'll tell you one that happened is, and he's one of my favorite comics and just a really solid, good guy. Alan Havey. He's a pro. He's been in the business, 20, probably 30 years at this point. And this is probably like 10 years ago. He got up and, normally he kills. But for some reason, one person just kind of just said, all right, tell a joke, dude. And Havey's kind of going through his thing, and he kind of uses the audience a little bit in his jokes and his set. And he basically they just kept, coming at him, and he wasn't getting laughed, and he was almost getting booed off the stage. He didn't, but it was that bad. And he left so pissed off and so hurt. Like, that was an eye-opener to him and to me, too. I was like, I've never seen this guy bomb ever, And we had 2 shows. He was doing the early show that night, and he came in and he looked me right in the eye and he goes, "I'm doing the second show. Go with some butts." And he had that like,
I have to
do that second show
for my heart.
And he came back in and he killed it. You know, but it was like, but you could tell there's a look. He had that edge on his shoulder that second show. But that's the only time I've ever seen anybody at that level bomb. And it really wasn't that he was bombing. It was just really the crowd was just, just one of those crazy, like, you know, things in time that just happened to be the perfect storm. They didn't dig his comedy.
But sometimes it's also a snowball effect too.
Yeah,
when comedians are on stage and the avalanche just like that, there's a little crack in the snow. And it doesn't have to be an avalanche, but a comedian, we kill ourselves sometimes and make it even worse.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not anything intentional. It's the audience kind of feels your I don't even want to say nervousness, but your uneasiness.
Yeah.
When the audience feels that, it's hard to make them forget.
Yeah.
Or they see the weakness.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of those audience members just want to be that, like, puff up, like that big chicken, you know, like it's, you know, and it makes it harder for the comedian.
You know, we had to, like, retrain the audience because I guess back in the early 80s and maybe 70s or whatever, when comedy was, you know, kind of starting to pick up steam, people thought that was part of the show to heckle the comics, you know? And so you always have those people think they have to heckle to be and make themselves part of the show. And, I mean, I've seen some... You know, they forget that the comic on stage does this for a living and they have a microphone. They don't.
And you just can't win.
And they would just brutally just rip these audience members apart, you know. Steve Kravitz, this one guy, was kind of heckling him and they were kind of going back and forth and, you know, Steve was just drilling him, man. And the guy goes, "Yeah, your mama." And then Kravitz goes, "My mama? I could have been your fucking daddy, but the dog beat me over the fucking fence." And the crowd is like, "Fuck you, yeah." So that kind of shit, you know, you're like, okay, but he had the microphone and he does it for a living.
I
so
could have been your dad.
You know?
The dog beat me over the fence.
My mama could have been your daddy. You know?
So how often I would say in 25 years, you probably used to have to kick people out more, right? Or has it gotten...
You know, we have to go tell people, hey, you know, but now we make an announcement, like heckling is absolutely not allowed. You know, we will basically... Well,
the whole thing, the heckler thing kind of died.
Yeah.
At the beginning of my career, I guess, kind of, you know, like I've been heckled, but it was always like if I was performing at a music venue.
Yeah.
And like, 'cause when I was the MC of the House of Blues, the booker there also booked the Viper Room at the time, or 2 nights a week at the Viper Room also. Oh, yeah, and when he would have bands cancel, he would call like an MC, like a comedian that he would know, and he'd be like, "Okay, get on stage, do whatever, 5-10 minutes of your time. Here's 2 drink tickets and $50, and you got to tell this crowd that the band they paid for is not showing up. Here's the replacements and no refunds." Okay. So he's like, but say that first.
Yeah.
Before you do your set. You know, because he don't want that coming at the end. And so you say it. And I remember one guy, like in the Viper, I still remember, whoa, he's screaming. And he's just so mad, this old guy. And the band, like the bus broke down. And they just had some like girl on a cello. The people were not happy. And this was not her kind of audience. And I just remember hearing... A beer bottle flies right by my fucking head. Yeah. So that was my only real heckle, but I don't even know if that's a heckle.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I don't even know if that's just an aggravated assault.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But one time at the House of Blues, I had to do that same thing. And, you know, people were just yelling like, boo, you know, like maybe someone threw like a drink or something. Wow. But I was like, I don't even want to be here either. I was like, and they kind of broke and laughed a little. And I was like, stop, I don't want to be here either. And that's when I got it. I was like, oh, just be honest. Just tell her, you know.
I think as a comic, you have to be honest.
Oh, yes. And I didn't learn how to be honest until I really started failing at the House of Blues. Like, you know, because I always knew I could write a joke.
Yeah.
So I thought that, just write jokes and just talk. But it would be disjointed, or it either wouldn't make sense, or it's like, what are you doing? Just like, what is that?
Yeah.
So that time that I had at the House of Blues kind of taught me, like, put it together, make a real coherent thought, you know, get to a point, get to a joke, get to something, you know? And then when I did get to the big stage, the improv, I learned immediately how to connect with the audience.
Yeah.
Because when I didn't have, like, the hook at the House of Blues, I didn't feel like I really had to connect. When I got to the improv, I had to connect.
I think that's what's great about our particular room. I mean, it's just, you know, I've been to other places, and it's just our room. You know, we have some bigger clubs down in Orange County, you know, and they're 500-600 seaters, you know, and I think that's great if you have, like, if you're a big name and, you know.
Yeah.
But I think for our little room that holds 200 people, it's so intimate.
See, I would love that.
Everybody, whether you're sitting in the back corner over here, if you're right here in front. I think that's what's really amazing about, you know, our room. And I know, you know, obviously I'm biased. You know, I love.
I think it's the best comedy club. I mean, Sir Paul McCartney got to see me perform there. You know,
How great is that?
I'm still in my mind. I believe I saw him laughing. Like, I can't say for sure, but and you know, like, I would be one of those cheesy comedians that after a show I would wait and I would shake everyone's hand and I would tell them thank you for coming, because I would love it so much, you know.
Yeah, Paul would call up, you know, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in town. You got room for me? We want a bit of a laugh, you know." And so that's pretty surreal, you know, have that conversation, you know.
Now, if I were mistaken, like, this is how it would go down. His manager would call and tell you guys, right? Like, to save his driver. I knew it was someone, because I was like, how does this go down? Because he would come in through the kitchen and stuff, right?
He'd come through the back door.
Yeah, whatever. The back door. Hazel.
Here's the thing
I'm just going to be out.
about him is that he wants to walk in. He wants to just be an average Joe. He goes, "Hey, don't treat me any special like any other guest." You know, he just wants to come in, laugh like everybody else. You know, I was secretly hoping that, you know, we have that piano on stage. You know, he'd kind of go, "Hey, can I play your piano?" But of course, he never did.
Yeah.
But that piano.
You don't want to put him on the clock.
Yeah. But that piano basically has been touched by everyone. I was watching one of the old evenings at the Improv, and Little Richard was hosting. And he got up there, he banged those keys, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'll never get rid of that piano. That thing's worth $100 million if it's worth a penny, you know, because it's just everyone, whether they just touched it, you know, put their drink on it or whatever. But that piano is special. It belongs in the Smithsonian. It's amazing, you know.
Now, are they going to keep that up there forever? Because I would only see guys like Owen Benjamin play.
Owen Benjamin and Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson. Oh, that's right.
You know, and there's a few others, you know. But, you know, I mean, that's just kind of, you know, that's just part of the improv shtick. You know, I mean, that's kind of what, you know, there's comics like Joe Rogan. He just said, "What is this piano even doing on stage?"
Okay.
So we'd have to wheel it off if we knew Joe was coming in.
Really?
We didn't even want to see it, you know. So we're throwing tarps over it, you know, like big, you know, curtains over it, just you know, and you know, but you know, because he wants the whole stage to move around. Yeah. But you know, it's you know, the Improv, you know, back in the day, back in New York, was mostly known for music. Yeah, they would have like all the you know, all the Broadway singers come down after their shows, and there'd be some big party, and Dustin Hoffman would come down and play piano before he was famous, or when he was just getting to be famous. So there's those stories, you know, like that. And then you know, then they finally started doing comedy, and then, you know, I mean, you got to give kudos to Bud Friedman. You know, he went from this to this, and he invented something that, you know, is just now, you know, standard. You know, but that was his doing. You know.
That's amazing. How is Bud doing? Have you seen him recently?
Yeah, he came down to one of our patio shows.
That's really wonderful.
He's a little older, but he's still sharp. As you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. You know, he has his wheelchair and whatever, and you know, he can stand and do all that. But you know, obviously, you know, he came up and he's like, "Why are you not doing this every night of the week?" He couldn't understand why we weren't doing it. You know, 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And I was kind of. That's kind of like a pat on the back, like, this is great.
Yeah.
Why are you not doing this every night? So I took that as like, wow, this is cool, you know. But, you know, we all know that the permits on the patio are temporary for now. You know, they are trying to get it done. But, you know, as long as we can do it because of the pandemic, you know, we're going to, as long as we have those temporary permits, we're going to use it as much as we possibly can.
Man,
but I really encourage you, if you're not doing anything, maybe next Tuesday, I think we're doing it. Come down, I'll get
Tuesday?
Yeah, come down.
100% I will. I have to say, anyone who is from LA, you go to improv.com, find the Hollywood portal, the Hollywood link, get some tickets, support this venue, this live comedy. Say hi to Jay. Yeah, I have to say, it warms my heart to just have you back here and to hear some of this stuff, Jay.
Oh, yeah, we've been buddies a long time.
No, yes, we have.
That's great,
yes, we have. And you are such a gentleman, a man amongst boys. No, you are. You're supportive to everyone, and you're loving, and you're great friends with one of my dear friends now, Johnny.
Johnny,
yeah, it makes me happy. It genuinely makes me happy to have you here, and I can't wait till life is just a little bit of what it was.
Yeah.
Like a little more.
I think we're going to have a renaissance. I think people, like you said earlier, that, they have all that tension built up. I think they're ready just to.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And that's why, God willing, if the movie does all right, like I think it should, I will be able to do my special there at the Improv. There will be more of a demand for a Brian Moreno comedy special. Because right now the demand is 0. Let me be clear. So there's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what, though? I mean, it's that
the demand is low. It may not be 0, but it's low.
Well, it's like that for everybody, though. Yeah. Like I said, we had some big heavy hitters coming down and doing our open mic on the patio. And they need to shake the rust off just like anybody else. And they have the same process that they go through, like any comic. It doesn't matter if you're just starting or you've been in the game 30 years. And so that's just, you're gonna just have to get out there and shake the rust off like everybody else and just do it.
Well, I've been shaking the rust off. I want to shake my ass a little on that stage. I gotta say, there's no place like home in the Hollywood Improv. Like, there is no place like that in the absolute world.
I love it, man.
There is. Thank you, Jay, for coming in studio. We we love you here, and I gotta say, everyone whoever comes in contact with you loves you, man. You are one of a kind. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Paige, Jamie Flam, Bud.
Oh yeah,
all the people who have supported me in comedy. Can't do it without any of you. Seriously, thank you, Jay. I love you with all my heart.
Yeah. All right, let's do another shot.
Yeah, this is the Brian Moreno Show. Thank you all.